my name is Ryan Johnson with Living Water Vineyard Church. This is Caffeine for the Soul, the late edition. Normally it's Mondays at 8 o'clock every Monday morning to kind of refuel you and start you for the week. But I'll be honest, one thing that we try to do at Living Water Vineyard Church is to be real and kind of down to earth. And the challenge with a lot of social media is what you see is not what you get. A lot of times people portray different things, different realities, and yet at home they've got challenges and they're hurting and have pain that are never shown on social media. So Monday morning I got all ready to come and do this, and yet I was just having a rough time, having a lot of challenges, just really crying out to God, saying, God, what are you doing? I felt a lot like Jonah and the whale. When Jonah was called to Nineveh, there's a lot of history that the Jewish people had with Nineveh. And Jonah pretty much said, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that. Just let them suffer the consequences that they need to suffer. And so just was struggling the last 2 weeks. And so I just didn't even feel like doing this. So the last 2 days, God was really speaking to my heart and showed me about that story, about Jonah and the whale, the side of it that really I was never taught in Sunday school, that somehow I missed. The side that talks about the people and not about Jonah, the people that Jonah was trying to reach. Whereas I feel like as a kid and even in ministry, Jonah is kind of a great example of the boogeyman, a great example of this is what's going to happen if you don't do God's will. These are the things that are going to happen. And yet, when I was reading over those scriptures and kind of focusing in, somehow I'd missed the whole point, in my opinion, of the story was the ability and the quickness of the people to turn back to God. The people in Nineveh, like all the challenges, all the disobedience, all the just pain, all the things, horrible things they had done. And yet Jonah showed up and God's presence fell and all these amazing things happened. They turned back to God, they fasted, they prayed, and it had nothing to do with Jonah's wanting them to turn. It had nothing to do with even Jonah accepting the call. Actually, he ran. He was swallowed by the whale and then spit up on the shore. And so God really spoke to me about that we all have challenges. Monday morning, we all get up and start to think, well, everybody else has it together. Well, that pastor has it together. Well, my boss has it together. Well, this person has it together. And on social media, we definitely see this portrayed over and over and over. Look at that person. He travels so much. Look at that person. He's always happy. Look at that person. He and his daughter are just on point at all times. His family is perfect. And yet, when we're all at home alone, when we all get away from social media, we have the reality. We have our struggles. We have our times where we cry out to the Lord and say, God, what the heck are you doing? God, I don't even like those people that you've called me to. Or God, I don't even like this business that I'm working at. I don't even like working out. All these things that we don't like that God has called us to do. And yet in reality, we walk those out in faith. In reality, instead of looking at our perspective, instead of looking at social media's perspective of how it's portraying people, I'm just praying that God will show me the reality of what is going on in people's lives, the hurt, the pain that we don't see. And that's my heart for showing this video. Is it's hard planting churches. It's hard being a pastor, but the Lord is good. The Lord is powerful. The Lord is loving. The Lord helps us through these things when we lean to Him, when we run to Him. He helps us with these things. And it's all about perspective. Lately, God's been telling me, quit saying it's hard, quit saying these things, but look at what he's doing. And he's doing amazing things at Living Water Vineyard Church, bringing people into relationship with him that for generations don't even know about the Christian walk. And it's all about perspective. So I wasn't going to do a late Caffeine for the Soul because I was like, well, it's Wednesday. What does it matter? But the reality is every day we need that push. Every day we need that piece of faith. Every day we need to be reminded that God is with us, that God is amazing, and that when we allow him to dictate our perspective, we'll look into the crowds, we'll look into these places and see these amazing people that weren't walking with God, that after preaching a couple of times suddenly turned their ways back towards God, like in Nineveh. So this is Caffeine for the Soul. My name's Ryan Johnson. I'll see you Monday at 8 o'clock.